Diaries, what you got for me?
Durag Diaries, yo people, welcome back to the channel. We finally got the collab that you guys have been waiting for. It's like 5 days late, but that was my fault last time. It was my fault, technical issues. But we are here, Jords, Henry, let's talk transfers. And I must say, there's no better day to get this done because things are actually happening at Spurs, at Hotspur Way, a medical as we speak. But before we get into any of that, Henry, how are you doing? How you been? Good to have you here.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm very, very happy. Yeah, man, Morgan Gibbs White, Kudus, and now I'm seeing links to like concrete links to Warson. Like that could be the DM that we finally might land. But Donna Collins said, "Mr. Henry Wright, I kissed you." I don't remember that, mate. But yeah,
Donna Collins a troll. She's one. Just I say she. It's a he. Just clarify. It's a he.
Isn't that Donna Collins? Isn't that person was part of the board?
Yeah,
Isn't that
yeah.
Right man and all that.
Yeah, Donna's a resident. I wouldn't even say a member of my channel, but she's a member of a lot of Spurs community channels. He's in all this. He's always in the chat, always trying to troll. But he's a real supporter. I'll give it to him. He is a real supporter. So I'll give it to him. Donna's out, but he's in and he's already getting started. But as you said there, concrete links to things like Wharton, some other players. But before we get, I want to bring it right in. I want to focus on what is actually happening. The announcement that we had yesterday. For those of you that, I don't know, if you guys are sleeping in a cave, you don't really know what's going on. Tottenham have announced Mohamed Kudus is officially a Spurs player with the video coming out yesterday. I don't know if you saw the actual announcement video. It was proper. I can't lie. This is the first. Like, Spurs are actually doing some good stuff now. They invested into a proper announcement video and he says, "I only wanted Spurs." That was the first words he uttered in a Spurs shirt. I mean, let's start there, Henry. How do you feel about the signing of Kudus and the type of game changer that he could be for us going into the next season?
Yeah, look, it is a game changer is the right word. He's a wide player who can also play in the 10. He even said in his interview with the club, he loves to run at players. He's got flair. We don't really have anyone in our ranks across the board from wide players that can really 8, 9 out of 10 times beat their man. And that's exactly what Kudus can do. A lot of Tottenham fans are quite wary about his output based off last season, but West Ham collectively were just poor. You know, they went through 2 or 3 different managers. They went from Lopetegui to Potter. They were playing Kudus like out of position quite a lot of the time. I think predominantly his best position is out on the right. Yeah. He can play on the left. I've even seen him play at Ajax a couple of times. He played false 9 and in the 10. I think he will do very, very well. And if you're Brennan Johnson right now, you're thinking, I've got to be on my absolute best form now because otherwise you're going to be sitting on the bench. But I'm all right with Brennan Johnson sitting on the bench because we've all been crying out for squad depth. We need squad depth in all areas across the pitch. And Mohamed Kudus brings that. And when you look at the quality of wingers we've got now, like I still think we'll keep Son for one more year, bring him on 75th, 76th minute, tired legs. He's a fantastic finisher. We've also got we've also signed Matthews Tell as well. So we've done like 80 million pounds, 90 million pounds so far on wingers this window, and the club aren't slowing down. But Kudus for me, that's the best signing we've made in a long time because I think he's got so much potential. He's only 24 as well. Like we're not even going into his peak years yet. Like he's Prem proven. First season at West Ham, he got like 25 GA, bagged goals in the Europa League. So yeah, I think he's going to do really well, mate. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, he's one of the players, and for those who don't know, he's going to be number 20. He's going to be wearing that shirt. We know who the last number 20 was, and he was sort of an icon, man. He was an icon. We're not going to lie. Dele Alli had that. He had that something special. And we got a star boy in Kudus wearing his number. But like you said there, Henry, I think the biggest thing is, for me, one of the biggest signings Spurs have made in a while. It shows our real ambition compete. Because I don't know about you, but I've been getting worried this whole window. You know, when we're seeing Liverpool make the moves that they make, Man City make the moves they make, even Chelsea, some of the signings they're making, Arsenal, Gyökeres, you know, Zubimendi. We'll get into some of the Madueke stuff later, but all of our rivals are actually making big moves and spending quite a bit of money in the window. And up until, let's just say, the last couple of days, I've been feeling like we're being left behind. Like the gap, there was already a gap between Tottenham and a lot of these teams, but that gap was widening quite exponentially. But now that we've got a Kudus in, a player who, like I said there, has had a bad season at West Ham. But when you actually look at his West Ham career prior to that, he was phenomenal that first season, literally scoring some of the best goals in the league that season, in the Europa League, putting them on his back, scoring some worldies as well. But he just has that X factor that no one has in our squad currently, being able to pick up the ball, run at their man, go left, go right. They've just got that ability to create something from nothing. And I know a lot of people have had problems with Brennan Johnson, you know, me and you being one of them. I think we all hold our hands up now and consider, I don't know about you, Henry, but Johnson's a legend in my eyes. I've literally got no bad words to say about the legend, Brennan Johnson anymore. I've got no bad words about Johnson, and I'll be his biggest defender next season, because from he scored he was our top goal scorer last season, and our most important goal last season, he was the goal scorer. So there's nobody that's going to have a slight on his name, but I actually think Brennan Johnson could have a good impact off the bench. Like when you have Brennan Johnson coming on against tired legs, where players are probably not going to be as on the ball to their positioning at the back, there's probably going to open up at times. If we're going down by a goal, Brennan Johnson's actually a player you want to bring on the pitch, a player that brings on some energy that will cause some problems for, you know, the other team. So I don't know. I think Brennan Johnson's definitely going to be a good option and a good competition for Kudus. But where do you think he comes in with the, you know, conundrum that you may have Kulusevski being the main competition for him? Because Kulu plays in the right, plays in the middle, just like Kudus. Yeah,
like that whole Johnson thing's mad, because if he doesn't score that goal, we don't sign Kudus and Gibbs White. Like that goal is that's when you deep it is crazy. But I think next season, this is my bold prediction. I think the club, if Son goes, I think that the captaincy is either going to be to Romero if he stays, or Maddison. So I think Maddison's going to be heavily involved next season. So to answer your question, I think Kulu will rotate with Maddison in the 10 and Johnson will rotate with Kudus on the right. But yeah, like in terms of Brennan Johnson coming off the bench or Kudus, both quick players, last 20 minutes, tired legs. And when we're playing like a lot of the interesting thing is going to be is Thomas Frank's probably the best counter-attacking manager in the league. All of our best performances last season, like Man City away, Brentford away, Europa League final, were all when we counter-attacked and we sat back and defended deep. Thomas Frank's notorious for causing upsets against some of the bigger teams. So I think against the smaller teams like the Sunderlands, the Burnleys, you might see Kulu and Maddison both playing as like advanced 10s with someone sitting, maybe a Wharton if he comes in, or a Bergvall or Brenton Core. And then when we play the Cities, the Arsenals, the Liverpools, we'll go back into one of Maddison and Kulu, one of Bergvall and Brenton Core, and then hopefully the new 6. And then the front line can essentially now pick itself, because I think the front line going into next season will be Solanke, Kudus, and then whoever's in the best form of the left wingers, whether it's Tell, whether it's Odebear. Like people even forgot we've still got Solomon to get rid of as well. Yeah. Like, and we've still got the young Korean player. We've got Mikey Moore. We've got more wings than fucking Belmarsh, mate. Like, it's actually crazy.
It's actually mad, like, because people actually always think they're going, Spurs need a left winger. Who's going to play Spurs? I'm like, bro, we have more Son, Richarlison, Solomon, Tell, Odebear, all specialize off the left wing. 6 players off that left wing. I'd expect Richarlison to be sold, Solomon to be sold, Sonny potentially to be sold, depending on, how things play out. I'd be open to him staying for another year. I'm not really on pushing Sonny out, but he can't have a strong impact or an important role in our team next year. And then I can't lie, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think Mikey Moore probably needs to go out on loan. I think he needs somewhere where he can get solid minutes, where he's playing week in, week out at a solid level. I have always said maybe go to Germany, maybe go abroad. I think that's probably the best loan that you can get, you know, getting him in his own environment, not comfy where he's at home. He's got his mum and dad around the corner, nothing like that. Don't do a QPR loan. Don't do a lot. Send him away. Get him uncomfortable, get him in his own environment and see how he can really perform, because that's when you see players like Jed Spence. He had a few bad loans, but that's what calloused him to come back into the team. And even though the manager said you may not be a part of the squad, he just fought through. He ignored it and he carried on to fight through, and he's earned his place now. That's what I think we need to see from Mikey Moore. But is he the player that you would expect to go out on loan, or is there any other players you'd look to sell on that left-hand side?
Yeah, I think a loan to like the Bundesliga, somewhere like that, like a Leipzig or a Dortmund. Like Dortmund are really good at developing young players, like we've just seen with both the Bellinghams. I'm not saying Mikey Moore's that level yet, but if he's not prepared to go abroad, send him to a club that's competing to get into the Premier League from the Championship. Like someone like a West Brom, like obviously Ryan Mason knows him very well. Yeah, there you go. West Brom would be a better. Yeah, someone like that would be ideal, or you know, someone like a lower end Premier League club that's fighting, like a Sunderland, for instance. He does need consistent minutes, because one thing that annoys me is Nwaneri and Mikey Moore are roughly the same age, very, very similar abilities. But if you look how Arteta has given Nwaneri a chance when necessarily needed, we played Mikey Moore and he had a really good game in the Europa League against Antwerp, where he played that outside of the boot, ball into the box. He was running at his fullback, and then all of a sudden he was coming on for like scraps, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. If he wants consistent game time, he's going to have to get a move, because he's probably 6th, 7th choice in the pecking order for like to start. And that's the way it should be, because at the end of the day, he's only 17, 18 years of age. It's very rare that you get a player, unless we're talking like Lamine Yamal, for instance. Yeah. It's very rare that you get a 17, 18-year-old come in and start. But yeah, this transfer windows is crazy. We're not even in mid-July yet. And we're talking about the club of all, when you factor in Tel as well, the club have already spent £145 million, which is crazy.
But by July 11th as well. And do you know, it's mad, because I was actually last week, or even 2 weeks ago, you could say I was going, I'd expect some signings in before July 10th. I might be pushing it, but I'd expect maybe one signing in. The fact that we've got 3 in Takai, you know, you can count him. And then we're going to talk about the other one later, because obviously MGW, that was announced. Here we go, medical as we speak. But the Kudus one, just the fact that we've got the deals wrapped up so quickly, because it was first reported, obviously a couple of weeks ago, we saw loose reports and they weren't credible to say Tottenham were interested in Kudus. But it was only, I'd say, the 1st of July or 30th of June when we actually saw the concrete news that Spurs want Kudus, the interest is real. So the fact that we've turned that around in 8 or 9 days, it's a new life for Spurs. We're not used to doing this, people. We do have a few super chats, though. Let me quickly just big up to the people that sent in their super chats. Big up to my boy Ilias, another delinquent. As you can see, he's got a membership badge next to his name. If you want to be like him, people, tap the pinned comment in the comment section and you can become a member, become a delinquent. But big up to Durag Diaries. Smash the like button. And then the boy JR is in here as well. Another delinquent. He said the delinquents are here. Yes, the delinquents are here, people. They are thriving. And we need some more. We need some more delinquents to join the building. So make sure you hit the membership button in the pinned comment. And also, go follow Henry, man. Henry's link is in the title of the video. So go show Henry some love on his channel. But moving on from Kudus, you did mention a player regarding potentially an outgoing. One that could, to be fair, we was expecting that it might be the case for a while now. But it has now been confirmed this morning, or you should say yesterday, it's been retweeted and regurgitated again regarding Romero. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed Tottenham have received no bids for Atletico Madrid. Spurs haven't opened the door for him, and also Atletico Madrid are now out of talks for him. This has been reported by numerous reporters over the last day. Atletico Madrid have moved on from Romero, and Spurs may look to get him to sign a new contract with just 2 years left on his deal. What do you think about this one, Henry? Because I know a lot of people are in a sort of middle space with Romero, because some people they weren't happy to see him leave, but they've accepted that he may leave and that we may need to move on to someone else. His performances are a bit up and down sometimes. His consistency levels, being able to, be available for us isn't the best, but he's definitely our best defender. So losing him would have been, a loss regardless. So how do you feel about Romero and him potentially signing a new deal with us?
Yeah, like Romero is an interesting one for me because he definitely is our best defender. And when he's on it, he's absolutely fantastic. Like his Europa League campaign was, kind of shows itself. He got player of the tournament. His record in finals is like 5-0. When he's on it, he's fantastic. He's 27 and he has 2 years left on his deal, which will take him up to 29. And then if you're thinking about maybe extending that contract, that's probably gonna be up until he's like 31, 32, probably had an extra 2 or 3 years on it. If he's prepared to put pen to paper, then yeah, I'd be happy with it. I think part of the reason why he got injured as much as Van der Ven is the system we were playing. Like they're busting the gut doing 40, 50-yard sprints every game because our high line was like fucking higher than the Empire State. Now you're going to see a bit of a deeper defensive line. So in theory, we shouldn't be getting that many defensive injuries because they're not going to be sprinting back 80 yards a game. I don't think you'll see your Doggy and Porro inverting like they were in Angeball. I think they're going to be more traditional fullbacks like Rico Henry was at Brentford for him. But if Romero wants to sign, I'm happy with that. If the right bid comes in at the same time, though, like if in this market, he's probably worth 65, 70 million. The centre-back market just ain't there. And if you're looking for a replacement, we've been linked with Jared Brantwaite. I'm not the biggest fan of him. I think he's very inconsistent. The one I would have liked is Gahey, but he's also linked with Liverpool. Yeah. And then other than that, in terms of like Premier League centre-backs, there ain't really anyone that's available. Like, we're not going to go to Newcastle and get Botman. We're not going to go to Brighton and get one of their guys. I don't really think they're all that anyway. So then you're looking abroad, going, who comes in at Romero's level? We're going to have to try and get a cut price. It's probably best to keep him. And then you look at the depth we've got at centre-back now. We've got Danso, who's come in and been pretty good. You've got Van der Ven. Dragusin's obviously going to be back now because he's ACL. He's back in training. And then like you've got this new young Japanese guy coming in, and you've also got Davis. So the depth is there. It is a bit of a significant drop-off in depth. But yeah, to answer your question, I'd be happy if he signed a new deal.
Yeah. I think for me, I have to agree. I'd definitely be happy if Romero signed a new deal. I've been a massive fan of Romero, and I think a lot of us have, me in particular, just been disappointed in some of the performances that he played last season, especially in the first season of Ange. It seemed like he'd take that step forward in his career, and he was like ready to really compete with the top defenders in the league, the Salibas, the Gabriels, and so on. But I think the system and the structure at the back probably didn't help any of our defenders. Like I said, Pedro Porro and Udogie, they didn't look that great defensively either. Hopefully under Frank, we can see a better setup. But Romero, for me, if we can get him to sign a new contract, would be key, a key player for us. We need someone who could be captain. I can't lie, that's one of the biggest problems that I've identified going into the season. As I look around, and I don't think we have any clear leaders in our squad. I thought Frank might look to bring in a leader, whether that be at the back, maybe a Nathan Collins or someone. But even then, when we looked at a player like Nathan Collins, I'm like, he's a good centre-back, but he's just that. He's just a good centre-back. I think Romero has the ability to be world-class on his day, but his day do come too few and far between. So we just need to try and see the more consistent element from Romero's side of his game. And if Frank can bring that out of him, I would happily keep Romero for the foreseeable. I think he could be a great centre-back. We just need to see if Frank can really work with him to iron out some of these mistakes he makes, the lapses in concentrations. You know, I love the aggression. I don't want to take none of the tenacity away from him, but at times he needs to know when to do it.
Just tone it down a bit.
Yeah.
Like you don't
was it in against Bodo Glimt or AZ Alkmaar?
There's like a Europa League game where he just sprinted 20 yards out of his defensive line and clamped someone.
Yeah, it was like 91st minute or something. And I'm just like, yo,
what are you doing? Like, there's no need for it. Like we were winning the game as well. Like there was absolutely no need for it. Yeah. I mean, if you're back in the yellow card bet, fair enough. But like, Jesus,
do you think he's doing a Paqueta? Do you think he's doing a Paqueta?
Possibly, but you don't need to be like. I think Thomas Frank. I think the discipline in a lot of our players going into this season is going to be a lot better. Like I'm really for the first time since Poch, I'm really optimistic about Thomas Frank. I feel like when we had Jose and Conte and Nuno, you could see they weren't really long term. And then when we had Ange, we were kind of, you know, crossing our wires.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't like. I wanted him to go quite early. I just didn't really like the style of things, the way he was in interviews. But I think Thomas Frank lines up perfectly with what we want to do. And the fact that Levy's come out and said things like, we want to win the Premier League, we want to win the Champions League. That's fantastic saying that. But now you've got to show the ambition to do that. But, you know, when you look at Thomas Frank, this is, for him as well, this is a massive step up. Like, you've never managed in the Champions League, really. You've never managed 2 or 3 games a week. But do you know who deserves like a massive praise? Is that new CEO we've got. The reason we got Kudus over the line.
He's doing some good work, man.
The reason he got him over the line is because he was the one who did the deal with regards to Declan Rice of Arsenal. If we didn't have Vinay, there was no way we were getting him because they hate our guts. It's the first sign we've signed from West Ham since Scott Parker. And that was 2012? Yeah, 13 years ago. So Vinay deserves like huge praise.
No, I think he does. I think you can definitely see there's been a huge change at Tottenham and the approach to this window. Do you know the one thing I've actually really liked, and I think someone who hasn't got enough praise for his work at Tottenham so far is probably Johan Langer. A lot of people have criticised him, including myself, for some of the signings that we've made. But when you actually look at his body of work, for one, I think he's done so well to actually keep the lips on all of these transfers. We hear about these transfers late. You don't hear about these transfers for weeks like you have with Gyökeres, Rodrigo, Madueke, hearing about every single update. It's like just constantly there's something going on. There's always an update. With Tottenham transfers, it goes quiet and then something big happens and it's just like, oh, transfer announced. It happened with Kota Takai, happened with Kudus. It's just like, oh, transfers announced. And then obviously moving on to the next one, this transfer come absolutely out of nowhere. Yesterday, I think all of us was just chilling, enjoying our day, enjoying the fact that Kudus was going to be announced. And at 3 o'clock, we got some news. You know, Spurs are interested in Morgan Gibbs-White. Talks were accelerating quickly, we heard. But I don't know about you, Henry, but whenever they say that, usually it's like, quickly is usually a week or 2 for Spurs. That's a quick transfer. But nobody actually thought it would happen in an hour. And then pretty much an hour after that, we got the confirmation from not just Fabrizio, but from Ornstein, who Mike McGrath was the first person to break, that Morgan Gibbs-White is now a Tottenham player. He got the here we go. Spurs trigger £60 million release clause after direct talks. What is the most surprising thing about this deal for you? For me, is the release clause. I was like, yo, Spurs are paying a release clause. What? Since when?
Yeah, it's mad as well because obviously we knew Eze had a release clause roughly the same amount of money. So you can clearly see that the money was there for Tottenham to go out and buy players. But for us to go Mohamed Kudus in the door, the video when we announced him was really, really good. Like, it's good to see a bit of cinematic from us. And then we just go, right, you know what? No worries. We need another creative player. Let's go and get one of the better ones in the Premier League. And it's mad because we've taken, in the last 3 years, we've taken Johnson and Gibbs-White from Forest. And Thomas Frank wanted both of those at Brentford. He also wanted Kudus at Brentford. So it's clearly when they're
Archie Gray as well was almost a done deal.
Yeah, they clearly value what Thomas Frank is saying in that transfer when they're having their meetings. And I imagine Ange was just sitting there, you know, eating some shrimp off the barbie or whatever he was doing. They're actually valuing what he's saying. But I can't believe we're sitting here on the 11th of July and Gibbs-White's probably going to be announced later tonight. And we've signed West Ham's best player, we've signed Forest's best player. And I like that. I like the fact that we're going for Premier League proven. I think it kind of shows you the strength of the Premier League because Man United have got like nearly Brahim over the line and Cunha. You know, we forget Madueke because I don't get that signing. But from our perspective, Gibbs-White, I mean, the amount of competition we're going to have now, because you're going to have, for the 10, you can have potentially Kudus, Maddison, Kulusevski, or Gibbs-White, all playing in that 10. In some games, you're going to see Gibbs-White and Maddison with just the lone 6. That's what I'm saying. If we can get Adam Wharton over the line, or a Belieber, someone of that ability, that quality, we are cooking with gas, mate. That midfield next season, other than like the top 7 onwards, you can pretty much get away with playing Maddison and Gibbs White with a Believer or Wharton.
Yeah.
Kudus, Tell, Solanke. And now we're actually going to play to Solanke's strengths. He was the best header in the Premier League the season we signed him.
Yeah.
And how many headers did he score for us? 2. Now you're getting Thomas Frank, who is used to playing the big man up front in Ivan Toney. Also, there was links out there that we're trying to get Wisa. I think that's a little bit unlikely. I think he will join Forest, which will be fantastic for us because I don't see Buemo leaving. I don't see them selling Wisa and Buemo in the same window.
I don't, but I do at the same time. When you look at £100 million, like that's what they'll probably get for the pair. They're a selling club, innit? If you can bring crazy, 100 million from 2 players in a window, they're probably gonna.
They also sold Flecken as well. Like they got rid of Flecken. He went to was it Leverkusen, and they signed Keller.
Yes, he did actually. Yeah, you're right.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Brentford next season are right down there. I don't think they'll go down, but they will be right down there.
Do you know what though? You mentioned it before. Like a lot of players from these mid-level clubs move. Man United have got Cunha and potentially an Mbeumo. You've seen Bournemouth have been completely picked apart at the back with pretty much their whole back line leaving with Zabani, Hoyson, and Kirkes on his way out, as well as Kepa. He's gone to Arsenal, so they've got a whole new back line.
Didn't they pin down Semenyo to like a 7-year deal?
Semenyo's been pinned down to a new deal. I think that's probably because they sold all those players at their back. They could afford not to sell Semenyo, but you've seen them lose players. Obviously, we've said Nottingham Forest. They've now lost Gibbs White and Alanga, so they've been heavily weakened. A lot of these mid-level teams that were all in that gap where they were trying to push onto Europe, those teams have weakened whilst the top teams have took quite a lot of these players. So you're seeing, I think what I think is going to be this last year, we saw the mid-level teams and the gap between the top teams be so short. I think that gap widens massively, and you start to see the top 6 and 7 really gap between the rest of the league. And I think there'll be a proper relegation battle next season with many teams at a similar level. But when we talk about this signing and the positions, I did have some reservations. I'm not going to lie. I'm happy that Spurs have made the move. I think Morgan Gibbs-White is a good player. And like you said, it gives us that technical level that we need in our team off the bench or on the pitch, just giving us that depth going into the Champions League. He can play in the 8, he can play in the 10. He's versatile in that way. He's a good ball carrier. So brings us some attributes that we probably don't have in our squad currently. But I do look at it and I'm like, potentially £60 million. We could have went elsewhere. We could have maybe got another player. Obviously, Mr. Udang has asked here regarding Eze because I think all of us were under the impression Spurs' number 1 target was Eze and that a deal would probably wouldn't happen due to the price if that was the case. Spurs have now spent the Eze money 2 times pretty much on the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, on Kudus. So I think that shows that Eze probably wasn't one of our focus targets in that sense. But going to this question, are you more happy with Morgan Gibbs-White or would you have been more happy with Eze?
I mean, I'm a massive fan of Eze, man. I think Eze's quality. Like, stepped up in the big games in the FA Cup final, bagged the winner against City. He'll always forever now be a Crystal Palace legend, delivered them their first ever piece of silverware. But if the player didn't want the move, I mean, what can we do? We've tried to get Son to do the utmost amount of modelling on the catwalk with him. We've given his family like a box every single time he plays against us. He's part of the same agency. Like on paper, that deal should be so easy to get done because we had Ange, Son, Maddison, Romero, Udogie all on CAA Base Limited, which is the same agency that like Palmer's on, Eze's on, and we just went, we'll go for Gibbs White. Now, I think personally that Eze's rejected a move to us. I don't think that will come out, but I think if Arsenal are going to offer you say 200 grand a week and we're going to offer you like 110 grand a week or 100 grand a week, you can clearly see why you'd want the extra wages. But Morgan Gibbs White is a very good alternative in terms of like other attacking midfielders in the Premier League. He's probably right up there. Plus, we had to sign a homegrown player. We need to bring a club trained player in or promote someone, which is why we were looking at Kyle Walker-Peters. Romano's now said earlier that the likelihood is he might be going to Besiktas. So Kyle Walker-Peters, I don't think will happen. And he's a free agent. So someone's going to have to be like promoted. But in terms of Gibbs White, mate, him and Maddison, obviously get on. They know each other quite well for the England team. Obviously, Johnson and Gibbs White know each other from their Forest days. So yeah, I think it would do really well. And we needed someone last year when Maddison had that injury, and the year before when he was out for 2 months. We relied on Kulusevski. Then we run Kulusevski into the ground because he played so many minutes. Then it got to the end of the season. He's had surgery, and that's the thing. Kulusevski's not going to be fit until the end of September because of his surgery. So Gibbs White can come in and maybe essentially replace him for them.
And I think even then, when he does come back with Kudus, he's probably going to need rehab. Like, it's going to take him some time to actually get back into full match fitness. Probably won't be there until December anyway. So we're probably going to need like another month or two of him. And with these types of injuries, you can always get a re-injury as you come back into training. So it's going to be one that we're going to have to take time with. So no, definitely needed a signing like this where you can fill the positions that he's going to be taking up. But you made a great point there regarding the homegrown quota, because for many weeks we've been linked with Carl Walker-Peters, but like you said there, he's now been linked to a move potentially to Besiktas, which, to be fair, I did predict earlier on. I thought these Turkish teams aren't playing with the wages that they're offering a lot of players right now. So I'd expect a lot of free agents to go that way. I've heard Richarlison does have some interest over there as well, so hopefully Jose Mourinho could do a job and take him off our hands. But yeah, I think for what we need, and as I said, some of the issues that we would have had going into the Champions League with the club-trained, homegrown quota stuff, Morgan Gibbs-White is probably one of the perfect signings for this. Big up to Mr. Udang every single time, always giving us the latest drops. But Fabrizio Romano on what is Tottenham's transfer priority after Kudus and Gibbs-White. They can add a midfielder too, but now their focus is on sealing all the details for Gibbs-White. There will be nothing more this week. Yeah, I think 2 signings in a week might be a bit I think that's enough. I'm not going to complain. I don't think any Spurs fans are complaining on that sense. But where do Spurs move on next? What is the priority? Because for some people, they think we probably need to focus on getting some of these sales out the door, because we do have quite a few, you could say bench players or dead wood that needs to be sold that we could raise some funds from to help, funding some of these more players that positions that we need to get. But what is the priority next for you, Henry? Where do you think we move on to, whether that's outgoings or incomings?
The priority would still be bringing in a DM for me. You can sell players later on in the window, but being the first to your target is the priority for me. I do think Bissouma will probably leave. I think he'll be sold.
Yeah.
Later on in the window, I think Richarlison could probably be sold. I think Solomon will be sold, and Solomon's going to be 100% profit because we signed him as a free transfer. Those 3, if you sell Richarlison to Saudi, you'd probably get a decent fee. Bissouma, I can see him playing in Turkey. A lot of the UAE bankers are now like buying up Turkish clubs, which is now how you're seeing like Galatasaray get Osimhen, Sane, Fenerbahce got flipping Duran. Like, that league's one to be.
I think Sean was saying something about this before, innit?
Yeah,
like Saudi
I don't know
Arabia,
what's going on over there,
yeah,
mate.
he said there's some businesses going on like
nothing over there, mate. I see that right
not.
now. Like, Galatasaray's profit was 100. The club turned over like 115 million last year, and they just go right. There's 75 mil on Osimhen.
I was thinking that. I was like, I know Galatasaray is a huge club because I don't know if some people. I don't know if you saw their league parade, but their league parade was nuts. Like the
Crazy.
whole of. Forget Wireless Festival, any festival, Glastonbury. That stuff was double the size of that.
Yeah.
So, like, it was huge. So there's no doubt they're a massive club. But since when did they have 75 million pounds to spend on players?
Yeah.
They've been living off the free transfer market for about 15 years. I've never known this to go on, bro. Never known this.
The last time they made like a load of good signings is when they got like Drogba, Ubue, Snyder.
That's what I remember that being like 2012 or something around those times, isn't it? Yeah.
Now they're the Turkish midfielder as well. Is it Nuri Sahin?
Sahin, Nuri Sahin.
He plays like Dortmund and that, but yeah, like it's crazy. I don't know what sort of books they're cooking over there, but if it works, it works. But in terms of us, like, if we can bring in a DM of like real quality, and you could sell Solomon, you can sell Richarlison, and you can sell Bissouma in this market, you could probably generate with the right moves 50, 60 million for those 3.
Yeah.
Right, 20. I reckon you probably get more, actually, because if Saudi are interested in Richarlison, they'll pay stupid money for whoever.
At least for Richarlison from Saudi. I'd expect 40 plus. He's
if you can get 40 for Richarlison, I reckon you'll get 15, maybe 16 million for Solomon to go to Leeds.
Yeah.
And then I'd take anything for Basuma right now at 20 mil. I'd take it. If you
I'll
can get
take
that,
12 mil, bruv.
mate,
Give me what
2
you can
mil.
get.
If
You know,
you can get,
I thought like go figure something out with Juventus for Douglas Luiz. I don't know. Try to do a swap deal, loan of obligation, whatever. That's a perfect little swap there. A player who's similar, probably better than Basuma, and he adds to our depth. I think that
I wanted him before he left Villa. Me and Sean had so many back and forths over Douglas Luiz. I was like, this guy has got ability. He's not an out and out 6. He's more of an 8.
Yeah,
but he can play in the 6. I think we need, like, in an ideal scenario, what that comment there, 6 and a left back / left centre back. That's the perfect scenario. If you can bring in a Wharton or a Believer, and then bring in cover someone who can play left back and left centre back, because we've got your doggy, and you've also got like Spence that can play both sides. There ain't really anyone else. Like, there ain't really anyone else that can come in and play left back. So we kind of need a left centre back / left back, someone that can play both. And then we also, like someone like Paulinho, there you go, from Bayern Munich. Like, if he wants, we've got a good relationship with Bayern. Dyer went there, Kane went there. We've got Tell. If we can say, look, there's 30. You could even go, look, there's.
They actually want really cheap for him as well. They're willing to let João Paulinho go.
That's what I'm saying. Bring him. He's 29. He's at the peak of his powers. He's Premier League proven. Like, yeah, bring him. If you can bring me in 30 million euros, I am all day behind that. And then just spend money on a left back / left centre back, someone that can play. Like, that's what I'm saying. Gahey would have been perfect, man.
Gahey would have been a good one, I think.
Yeah,
Gahey would have been a good player when we're looking at a player that can bring the level of consistency that we need going into the season across the year. The availability. He's also a leader. He's been a captain for a few years. He's actually young. I've always been thinking Gahey's about 27, pushing 20. He's 24, bruv. Gahey's actually mad young. So I did like Gahey's a player. I can see why now Spurs have been looking at him for a while, and we put in a few bids for him. Apparently, he's rejected us though. Apparently, that was the news. I think like 2 months ago, I saw just at the end of the season. We went in from in January. Obviously, at that time, Palace rejected the bid. But again, apparently, post the season, he's rejected us. But I think we've seen a lot of this centre back news cool because the thought is that Romero probably will be going nowhere. A good player, another one, big up to Luke, Jarrell Hato. He's a player who can play that left centre-back and left-back role really well. He's been at Ajax for the past couple of years, and I think he could definitely be an option for us. Now, whether he wants to come in and be a depth option for Tottenham or competition for Udogie, that would be the question. But that's where we're at right now. We need players that are going to come in, compete for the squad options that we have, and compete in those positions that we have available. Now, I'm going to share my screen just so we can see here, but this is a little graphic that has all of our current squads. So we can just see where some of the holes are currently and just have a look at what we need to do further to improve the squad at the moment.
Yeah, that left back ones, that's what I'm saying. That's the big problem.
Big up to Matthews. Yeah, the left-hand side is a big problem at the back. Because like you see there, it's just a Udogie. Obviously, Spence can cover both sides. You could potentially have a Davies come and, be some cover for there, but probably isn't good enough. Do you think we that's why we probably need someone to be a left centre-back / left-back, because Davies isn't even at the required level to be a backup for Van de Ven?
I think Davies is going to be like 4th choice next season. I think that Takai guy will be the backup, Phillips, and then Davies. But like, you look on that right side, look at the difference of quality and depth. Like Romero and Van de Ven, but then you got Danso, Dragusin, and then the new youngster we've got Vizokovic. Like, and at right back we've got Porro and Spence. Like, if we end the window about getting more depth for left back, that's why I think Kyle Walker-Peters should have come in. Okay, he's not real quality, but it's a free transfer, club trained, someone that can play both sides.
Yeah,
like, because then you could essentially have Spence as a backup for your doggy, and then put Kyle Walker-Peters in the right back situation. But I think what the club are going to do next season again is utilise Gray. I think Gray will be used at fullback again, because I don't like it, but I don't see him getting into the midfield, because I think Sarr's ahead of him. I think Bergval's definitely ahead of him. I think Bentancur, based off his Europa League campaigns, ahead of him. From a creative perspective, he's not on Gibbs, White, Maddison, or Kudus level. So we're not going to pay £40 million for a guy that isn't going to get football. So the only other area to put him in, which is why I think Ange did it last year, was at fullback. Do you know what's mad as well? Levy. Do you know how much money Levy has spent in the last 2 seasons?
How much?
Just have a guess. This is on
like 350 or something, isn't it? It's like
this is on Gray, Solanke, obviously Kudus, Gibbs White, Odebear, Tell. We've done nearly £260 million. I think it's more than that. I think it is more than that because we're not including the season before. We did about another 140 because we did Johnson, Van der Ven, Madison. Like the whole Levy out thing at the moment is very quiet. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's very
very quiet. I'm not gonna lie, it's very, very quiet. Like I think Levy saw those protests last year. He saw them getting built up, and he's like, you know what? I've had enough of this shit. I've had enough of this. And he's actually gone out there. You know, he come out and said, like you said earlier, I want to win the Premier League. I want to win the Champions League. You can only do that by showing the ambition to go out there and get it done. Now he's actually looks like he's showing that ambition to get it done. And like I said, I can't lie. I think we're going to see Gray play in the 6 or in the dub pivot on the 8, only because Brentford wanted to bring him in heavy. They literally had a medical booked in. Spurs hijacked it at the last moment. I think Frank obviously sees him as a player who
292 million. Sorry, what we've done since last season. So I didn't include Kingsky or
some of the others, Odeber and
with the add-ons. It's over 300 million, and we're not stopping there.
I feel like personally we've probably got to spend 250 odd this summer if we actually want to be real about pushing into that top 4, top 5, and that's just with another 3 more signings.
No, I got cooked for this yesterday, like in Terry's chat. I said that right now, based off the signings we've made, with the manager we've got, if we sign a DM, I think we're stronger than Villa. Personally,
100%.
I think the difference between us and Newcastle is they've got an Alexander Isak. I think their midfield, Newcastle, is one of the best in the league. They've got Tonali, they've got Bruno G. But defensively, I don't think they're that much better than us. I think our centre-backs are better than theirs. Their centre-backs' average age is like 30.
Yeah.
Right, full-back, okay, they're good there, but Livramento could still go. I don't think there's this massive strides between us and the top 4, especially if we bring a DM in. And if 5th can get Champions League next season, I'd currently say I think we get 5th. I think Chelsea right now the amount of money they've spent, they should be where they are. And the top 3 are the top 3. And I think it will be like that for a couple of years.
No, we could definitely push on and back with Newcastle. There's no doubt. But I think we are ahead of Aston Villa at this moment in time, even without another signing.
As well.
Definitely, no, for Forest, we're way ahead of Forest. Like that, we was ahead of Forest without any signings. I'll be honest. Like even just with Frank coming in, I was confident that we'd be better than Forest going into the season. I think the holes that we need right now is that hole there. We probably need someone, I'd say, to come in, compete with Solanke. Someone, if we did get a Vissa, I think would be a good move because he can compete with Solanke as well as deputize off the left because he's a wide forward as well. Then, like you said, bring in someone who's a more defensive midfielder, whether that's Paulinho, Louise, Agume, Wharton, Belay, whichever player that's going to be, someone who can come in and be a defensive midfielder. And then we just get someone who's going to be a left-sided centre-back or left-back. And I think our window's done. And for me, that would probably be an 8, 9 out of 10 window, pushing us back into the position and probably looking back, like you said, a few years ago where our squad used to be. And we're in a very strong position going into the season with Thomas Frank. I can't see how Spurs would be below the rest of those teams, especially like looking at this midfield now. Let's take away Basuma. Just the midfield 6 that we got there. Gray, Maddison, Sarr, Bergvall, Gibbs White, Bentancur. That's a very good 6 options that you've got. You've got players that are all very different types of players. You've got Sarr, who's an athlete, gets around the pitch. Well, he's big, long strides, cool. Bergvall, he's an 8, 6, 10. He's just a hybrid player who's good at doing everything. Again, a very good ball carrier, can play through the lines. Gibbs White, again, him and Bergvall, very similar with their strongest attributes, but Gibbs White's more polished at what he does. And his final third balls and playing through the lines is class, similar to Maddison in that sense. And then you got Bentancur, Gray. Gray, I just think, has such a high ceiling that we haven't seen enough of him in that 6 yet. That if you get him in a competent team with a right midfield structure and someone next, I think you see Gray play at a whole different level next season because his composure on the ball is really like no other. Like, I don't think we have a midfielder that can pick it up in the holes and is as composed as he is.
Do you think Jamie Donnelly will get game time next season?
Do you know what? I've asked this question a lot when I've had the talks with Spurs fans. I'm like, which one of our academy players do we think gets promoted? Because Donnelly had a really strong year, and it'd probably be harsh if he doesn't get a chance in pre-season. But he'd have to, like, obviously what he done in League One was class, but to take the jump up to them
League
beating
One's
our
Premier
team now,
League.
it's a massive jump. Like, he may, I think, give him pre-season. We'll see how he does in pre-season. We've got some hard teams in pre-season. Let's have right. We've got Arsenal, Newcastle, and some.
Surely he can't. We can't keep loaning him out though. Like I like the fact that we're trying to like build up like affiliation with clubs like Leyton Orient, for instance. Yeah. But if you're Donnelly, you're sitting there thinking, I've just smashed it in League One. Like I bagged the goal from 40 yards against Manchester City in the FA Cup or whatever it was. Like I've had a standout season. I broke their assist record in 6 months or whatever it was. Like I was phenomenal. And now I'm looking at it going, you lot have just signed Gibbs White. You got Maddison. You got Kulu. I'm clearly not fitting in. So it wouldn't surprise me if Tottenham sell Donnelly this window, or at least loan him out of a team with an option to buy, because I just don't see where he comes in. Like I don't think, on what we've seen in very, very small sample size, I don't think he's better than the creative players we've got right now. And I just don't see a pathway to the first team. Like I see a pathway of Mikey Moore, because I don't think our left wing position is world class or very, 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 very good. But I think our creativity now is going to be the team's best attribute, with Gibbs White, Kudus, Maddison, Kulu. Like you could argue that's top 4 creativity in the league.
Yeah. I think with options wise, we've got a lot. But do you know what is, when you look at City, you look at some of these other teams, like some of the players they have is just next level. Like when you look, they go from Marmouche to Cherky to Foden to Doku to Savio. It's just like, yo, all these players are so good.
And they got rid of De Bruyne as well.
Yeah, they lost De Bruyne and just they still look much better. They got Reinders as well. How could I forget? They bought Nico Gonzalez. Like their midfield and like attacking the players behind the strikers, just they've got so many options. But no, when we talk about Donnelly, it's hard, isn't it? Because I feel like he struggled even with his positioning under Ange. Remember in pre-season last year, he's been used as a left back at times because he's playing as an inverted left back. And then when he came into the Leyton Orient team, he's pushed out on the wing, then he was pushed in the middle. He's played a few positions, so it's unaware of actually where his best position will be. Most likely will be the 10, but whether he has the creative outlet to play in the 10 at the Premier League would be another question. But I'd like to see him get the chance. I think Alfie Devine's definitely probably going to be on the move. He's shown not to be that good at KVC Westerlo. Scarlett, I think, probably needs to move on. As much as I think I'm a big fan of him, innit? Like the fact that he's come through for so many years and thought that, you know, he scored a goal last year in the Europa League, but away from that, he's probably not been worked out the way that it's the way that we thought it would at Spurs. So he's probably not going to be good enough to have any minutes for us next year. So I think Scarlett probably needs to look to move on. Lancashire will probably get a strong loan. So we've got a good young base of players, some who may be able to contribute, some that will probably need to go out on loan. But look, before we do end up the show, I think it's only right that we do speak about probably one of the bigger deals that got announced last night, and that is, of course, Noni Madueke to Arsenal. Like, this one is a really strange one, to be honest, because I really don't know what Arsenal see in the paper. But as we saw here last night, exclusive Noni Madueke to Arsenal. Here we go. Fee agreed in excess of £50 million with add-ons included, supposedly to be 52 million. Madueke agreed a 5-year deal at Arsenal days ago and now set to complete a move with a medical set over the next couple of days. Henry, how do you feel about this signing for your club?
Yeah, as an Arsenal fan, mate, it's we got some decent business over the line, but I'll be honest, I don't get what Arsenal are doing. Arteta's track record for signing forwards needs to be seriously looked at. They've done 180 million pounds now on Havertz, Marquinhos, Jesus, and Noni Madueke, and they still haven't got a striker over the line. The best 2 forwards they've signed in recent years, Martinelli was done under Unai Emery, and Saka's an academy graduate. Like, Arsenal fans can't have it both ways. They all said You wanted a backup for Bukayo Saka. You got the backup. I don't think Noni Madueke. I think some of the criticism he's getting is a little bit harsh, but the price tag is bonkers. How do Chelsea do this, right? Because it needs to be investigated, mate. How do you sign a player for 30 million? He flops, and then you sell him for 50 million.
Do you know what it is though, Henry? Like, do you think because look, as us as Premier League fans, we can look and say he's not been good enough. But when you actually consider the signing for where it was, like 21 years old when he moved, now 23, in those 2.5 years, he's now become a Premier League proven player because he scored about 7-8 goals each season. So to majority of teams, that's a Premier League proven winger at some level. He's become an England international. So I think on that side of things, and he's also grown in age. He's 21, now 23, still got many years of potential where he could grow on and be a better player. So do you not agree that they have to command more money? Even Morgan Gibbs White, we spent 60 million on him. When they signed him, he was a 35 million pound player. He's got better. He's now becoming an England international. It's 2-3 years.
What Elias says in the chat, he scored, I think he got 7 goals last year, and he bagged
4 in 1 game.
He put out an Instagram story out on his burner account and said Wolves is a shithole or whatever. Then goes and bagged hat-trick. I just don't get the signing. Eze's there, Gyökeres is there, Rodrigo's having a transfer meeting with Xabi Alonso. Trust me, Liverpool are going to go for Rodrigo. Trust me on that. They are going to go for Rodrigo, and it's going to break every single Arsenal fan's hearts, because I'll be honest, I don't get 50 million. It makes no sense. It makes sense in terms of the depth, but the price tag, that's only 3 million less than we've just paid for Kudus.
Yeah.
When you look at, that's only 3 million less than Newcastle paid for Elanga. And then for me, Elanga's a better player than Madueke. When you look at it like that, it's 10 million less than Man United have been quoted for Bremo and Cunha. I get it, it's the going rate for Premier League proven now. It has a tax. 50, 60 M's you're playing practically for anyone right now.
Pretty much anyone right now. It's 50 million plus.
Newcastle apparently quoted Liverpool a year ago, 60 million for Gordon.
Arsenal would have been better off going to do that deal. 100%.
That's what I don't get that. The Arsenal have ambition to go and win a Premier League title. That's their aim. This ain't a signing where Arsenal fans are going, oh, do you know what? I know exactly what Arsenal are doing here. They're getting all of the signings out of the way that don't make the fans buzzing, like Zubimendi, Norgard. Now they're going to go and drop Gyökeres, and all of a sudden, everyone's little heart meter is going like that. Yeah. Then if they get Eze done on top, no one will care.
Yeah.
But still, for me, I'll be honest, 50 million or 53 million it's been quoted from Romero on Noni Madueke when you include the add-ons is crazy.
It's bad business. There's no doubt about that. It's bad business. You look at their current crop of team, they've got a player who's already a backup to Saka, who I'd say is already better than Madueke and Ethan Waneri. You talk about last season, Waneri was contributing at the Champions League level. So when you talk about depth, he's ready to be the second option behind Saka already. If now they're signing Madueke to be the left winger, he's played 11 games at left wing in his entire career. So if he's going to be your go-to left winger, again, doesn't really make sense. He's only been used there recently for Chelsea. And yes, he is left-footed, but he's not someone who gets a lot of goals, not someone who gets a lot of assists. And even when he plays down the right-hand side, he always goes around the outside of the right-hand side. So I can't really see what Arsenal or what Arteta in particular sees in this player. But I do agree. I think the abuse has probably been over the top. People are making it seem like Madueke is an absolute dud. He's not shit. He's actually an okay player. I think it's a sidestep for
over the top, signing a petition to not sign him.
Yeah. People are acting like he's
generally the stuff in Arsenal, they're spray painted Arteta out and all that over
the painters, the murals and stuff like this. Yeah. Their fan base is always over the top. But with this one, I think they've definitely been pushing it. I think the biggest thing here is they're shopping in Chelsea's bins yet again. And that's where the problem is for them being a rival of Chelsea, knowing that Chelsea are in financial troubles and they're helping. When Chelsea were in financial troubles last time, they dashed 65 million at them for Kai Havertz. They're in financial troubles again this time. It's like, oh, we'll give you 53 million for Noni Madueke. And it's like Arsenal's or Arteta's talent ID doesn't expand outside of London at this point because, like you mentioned, Rodrigo's probably going like Chelsea could potentially sell this and use this money to fund a Rodrigo deal. That's the type of move that Chelsea would make. It's 80 million on Rodrigo, 30 million more than Madueke, and you've got a player almost double the times of that. Even if Liverpool go get that deal done and replace Luis Diaz, who's been rumored to potentially go Barcelona or Bayern Munich, they're going on leaps and bounds, and Arsenal really aren't signing the players that are going to take them those steps forward. Now, like you said there, if they get Gyökeres and Eze, not many people will probably care about these deals. But then again, I think even if they get Gyökeres and Eze, they've not done enough in this window because Gyökeres, Eze, Zubimendi, and Norgard, I think it's a good signings as a 5. You could look at it and say it's some good.
Do you think they've got stronger? Like if Trossard leaves, is Partey and Trossard stronger than Zubimendi and Madueke?
I think at the moment they've improved their depth. I think the second string players have improved. Madueke is going to improve the depth. You know, they've got someone to come on behind Martinelli or compete with Martinelli at some type of level. Norgard is better than Jorginho and some of the players at that level. Zubimendi, I don't know. I've argued that Zubimendi probably is at a similar level to Partey. Like a lot of people are underrating Zubimendi, and I think he comes into the league and looks class next year. So I think Zubimendi's been underrated. But if they get Eze, and again, I think Eze, I look at it and I'm like, Eze doesn't necessarily, he'll be not necessarily a starter for Arsenal. So when I'm looking at all these signings, they've actually only signed 2 starters in Zubimendi and Gyökeres once it gets over the line. So I'm looking at their team. When you look at Liverpool, they've signed a few first-team players. Man City have signed a few first-team players. I don't think they've improved enough to solidify themselves in that title race. That's where my question lies.
I think, I'll be honest with you, I think if Liverpool get an Ekitike or a Rodrigo over the line, I think the title race could be very, very similar to last year where it's done by January. Like, I'll be honest, I don't see anyone right now stopping them in this league. Florian Wirtz is going to be an absolute joke in this league. He can play false 9, he can play 10. They've got Salah. If they get Guéhi over the line as well, and their 3 centre-backs are Konate, Van Dijk and Guéhi, I mean, that's an absolute joke. But yeah, like for me, I think Liverpool win the league anyway, regardless if they get Ekitike or... Mate, if they go and get Isak over the line, it's mad as well because like, Harvey Elliott's linked with a move to Brighton for like 40 mil. Nunes is going to go Napoli. Diaz is linked with Bayern. There's money there for them to go and get Isak. And if they get Alexander Isak from Newcastle, no one's stopping them. They might even win the Champions League.
Isak's the different makeup.
It's only PSG. Like I'll be honest, PSG are the best footballing side since like Pep's Barca for me. Like this PSG side, as you know, footballing side is better than Pep City. Like that treble winning team, this PSG side is better.
Yeah,
and they've got no ego in there. They've got no Mbappe. They've got no Neymar.
I think that's what they needed. I said for a long time, what they needed was to go back to basics, get rid of all the egos, and just go back to signing the best talents in France. And that's what they done essentially. They signed all the best talents in France in Doué, Barcola, Zaire Emery. Like they got all the best players that they could. Then brought in some players from abroad like Vitinha, João Neves, Goncalo Ramos, and so on. And then they're now looking at their whole next best team. But people, can we get to 50 likes? We're like 4 likes away from 50 likes before we end the stream. We've had big stars like Henry in here. So at least 50 likes can we get before we end the show. But yeah, no, look, Arsenal have been making some dodgy business, man, and helping Chelsea out yet again. Big up to Mr. Udang again for the news of Brentford's rejected bid in the region of 20 million for this is nuts, isn't it? Like, what? The fact that they just got 60 mil for Morgan Gibbs White and they think they can throw 20 at Brentford, they've lost their mind, sure.
Do you know how mad it is, though? Like, you're talking 50 million for Wisa when PSG paid 70 million euros for Kvaratskhlia, however you pronounce it, which is the same amount we've just paid for Gibbs White, right? They paid 60 million euros for Neves. They paid 40 million euros for Paco and 50 million euros for Desiree Doué. When you look at their business like that, that's 44 million pounds for Doué, who just bagged you a brace and an assist in the Champions League final. We could have signed him as well.
And to be fair, we were heavily in for him, innit? He just chose PSG over us this one. But I think that's the thing, though. Even when you look at Man City's business, it's different when you're a huge club going in for players, because you go in for those players. A lot of the times, the player makes it very clear to clubs, I'm not going to negotiate with anyone else. I'm going to this club. You best get the deal done. They usually accept a little bit less money. That's why we've seen City get Reinders for 35 mil or whatever it is, Cherky for 35. Like, they've done better business than most teams in the league, and they've spent half the amount.
Ain't Nuri as well.
Ain't Nuri, 35 mil. Like, they're getting all these signings at cut prices because they're City. It's literally because they're City. And I think a lot of these teams know one day, yeah, we'll do it with City because City are going to dash a player at us for cheap. And yeah, man, look, we can't blame them. I did forget to big up to Stark Rowe for becoming a delinquent, renewing his membership. It's good to have you back, my bro. Big up to you. Look, people, this has been a very, very, very good stream. A good day to get this done, to be fair. Off the back of Spurs, making some huge transfers, some huge signings. Arsenal at the same time confirming Madueke whilst we're getting Gibbs White and Kudus done. It just feels that little bit extra better. But look, I am going to send you guys over to, let's see who's live at the moment. Do you know what? I will send you over to Saeed. He's live. He's live with troops right now. Let's go clown troops right now. Just put non-re in the chat. Let's get a non-re in the chat. Just run up a non-re hashtag 14 in the chat. Let them know you've come over from DRD, Durag Diaries. And yeah, man, look, we'll be back tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning with a live. Look out for that. Morgan Gibbs White announcement later on today. And yeah, man, it's always good speaking to you guys. Henry, it's been a pleasure to have you here. Have you got anything coming up that the people need to look out for?
Yeah, I've actually got a video regarding Gibbs White and Kudus dropping in 15 minutes. So yeah.
Well, look out for that, people. Henry Talks Ball is literally the link to the channel is in the title of the video. So you go over there, click there, look out for Kudus MGW announcement video over on Henry's channel. Big up to Henry for coming on. And yeah, man, until next time, we'll be back, people. Peace.